Hi, RamNexus here. Welcome to another mod comparison video. Today I'm looking at 3 more weather mods for Fallout 4 on Xbox. Better Weather, Polluted Climate, Winter, and Vivid Weathers. This vid is part 2 of a short series comparing popular and interesting weather mods for Fallout 4 on Xbox. So subscribe if you want to keep up to date. To see how these mods look at their best, and sometimes their worst, I've got gameplay footage and frame rate analysis to show you. Some weather mods, like Better Weather, overwrite the vanilla weather system so you can use the cheat terminal mod to change the weather directly. Others, like Polluted Climate, don't touch the vanilla weather, instead they add their own weather types. For those mods, you have to wait in-game for a few hours for the new weather to kick in. There are a couple of weather mods that include their own interface, like Vivid Weathers does. We'll have a look at that. So, to capture as much weather variety as possible, I walked from Sanctuary all the way down to Quincy Lighthouse on the southeast corner of the map, and I'll show you that footage as we go. Why test frame rate? Well, I play games for the story, for that challenge you get and that sense of achievement, but big frame rate drops and stutters are distracting. I find they take me out of the game, so I look for mods that improve the game without causing a distraction. All performance testing and analysis were captured on my Series S. The game was set to 60 FPS performance mode, which is the game's default graphics mode. The only mods loaded were the mods being tested and the cheat terminal. Alright, let's see. Better Weather. Better Weather makes a few changes to the game's look, the most obvious being that bright blue sky. Colours are a bit brighter too, but unlike some mods, there's no obvious colour filter here, as you can see on my rifle, which looks like a bloody Nerf gun. Contrast has also been increased, but not so much as other mods like Calamity Weathers. So the whole Commonwealth looks bright and clear. I do like the look. That bright clear sky reminds me of those first sunny days of spring, you know, before your eyes have adjusted, looking for my sunnies. Sunrise and sunset also look more distinct from each other. Dawn has a nice yellow horizon, whilst dusk has a strong orange tint. Nights are described as darker, but I wouldn't call them very dark. I can still see into that tunnel quite easily. When swimming at night, visibility is low, unlike 76 weathers which I looked at previously. This mod was updated recently to make sure it works with the anniversary edition of the game, and it's always good to see that kind of support from mod makers. The main downside, I suppose, is that it doesn't look especially post-apocalyptic, which might put some people off. Others might say that, well, after 200 years, maybe the sun should be shining again. So really, it comes down to personal preference. During normal play on my Series S, Fallout 4 sits comfortably at 60 FPS in both the vanilla game and with Better Weather loaded. But to measure how much the mod can affect performance, we need to stress the game a bit. I test up here on the roof of the Kavega assembly plant because this view has been shown by others and confirmed by myself to be a good stress test of the game's performance. So these FPS scores you'll see are probably the lowest I can generate in game from a stationary shot. If you play on a Series X, I have found FPS results are very similar than the Series S. Though the Series X is more powerful, it is generating or trying to generate a 4K output, whereas the Series S is only trying for 1440p. So with a new Anniversary Edition character I made just for testing, vanilla Fallout 4 sits at 58 FPS. Using the same save game, with Better Weather loaded, frame rate drops by 3 FPS on a clear day, down to 55. With Better Weather, frame rate is the same in fog and radstorms, but when it rains we lose another 4 FPS, dropping to 51. That rain FPS drop is something I see with most weather mods. So Better Weather slightly increases brightness, colour saturation and contrast. Some other mods push one or two of those a lot harder, but Better Weather gives you a more balanced result. I hope you find this interesting. Of course, please give it a like if you do. That would be great, thanks. Visit my channel and subscribe for more videos on the more technical side of some of my favourite console games, many of which are Bethesda games. The next mod is Polluted Climate Winter. It's snowing! Sorry, it just doesn't snow where I live. When I was preparing this video, I realized two of the mods that I planned to cover looked really similar, so I swapped one out for this mod. Polluted Climate Winter was actually recommended to me by Coxie154 in the comments to my last weather comparison video, so thanks for that, buddy. Excellent. Polluted Climate Winter adds snow to the Commonwealth and gives the wasteland a very different look. Colours are muted, there's constant fog, and together the haze and reduced colour give the game a very cold wintry feel, but you can probably already see there's no snow on the ground, and yeah, we'll get to that in a second. I wanted to see what the glowing sea looked like with this mod enabled, and it certainly looks different. That orange tint from high radiation is gone. Combined with the muted colours, I have to say, the place looks almost a bit boring. Well, it would be, except for these guys. A good pairing for this mod is Icepick Overhaul, which adds snow to the ground. And it looks good, but one issue is its size. It comes in at over 500 megabytes, which is enormous, and it's about a quarter of our total mod space on Xbox. Now Bethesda is planning to increase that mod space, so in the future this won't be an issue, but it is right now. I also added Polluted Climate Winter No Snow Under Roof patch. It worked better than I expected actually. You can see here in the diner that snow falls through the holes in the ceiling, which is really clever. That's a good touch. Nights aren't especially dark. I can still see what's around me very clearly. Underwater visibility is low, which is what you'd expect when it's nighttime, overcast and snowing. It doesn't snow all the time, has to be said. Here's me under the moonlight, romantically killing a bunch of bandits. Boston Common looks good. It definitely looks different. In fact, this place has changed a lot since I, for some reason, tried my hand as a wasteland tour guide when I visited Boston last year.
So this is pretty much the place that everyone comes to after they get attacked and killed by the Swan. Sorry, after you defeat the Swan. Here in the middle of Boston Commons. There's a skill magazine here. Excellent. Just be careful. Make sure you get some right away because there's a whole bunch of radioactive canisters up here.
There's a bit over there, but I don't see any.
Keep your camera on me. Right, you can't spend a lot of time up here due to all the radiation, but it's going to be quick. Go, go. Loads and loads of barrels of radioactive material have been removed by some very helpful member of the community. This is what happens once.
Reality?
I was going to say once you've established all the settlements, but yeah, we'll go with that.
Ah, the joys of holidays. One thing I'm not so keen on is that lens flare effect. It comes from the Polluted Climate mod. As you can see, it's persistent. It's quite large and really close to the center of the screen, and I find that very distracting. I'm happy to admit this is a bit of a pet peeve of mine. I'm not a fan of developers, or mod makers in this case, pretending there's a camera lens in front of me, which, you know, to me it breaks the fourth wall because we all know there isn't a lens there. I could go on, but I better not. Performance. With just Polluted Climate Winter loaded, light snow dropped frame rate down to 54. So that's a 4 FPS drop from the game's vanilla 58 FPS using the same game save. During a rad storm, FPS dropped another point, and in heavier snow with the Icepick Overhaul mod loaded as well, we get down to 51. So I'd say a 7 FPS drop is about the biggest frame rate hit we'll see. If you really want to change the look of the Commonwealth, then Polluted Climate Winter might be just right. Combine it with the No Snow Under Roof patch and the very large Icepick Overhaul mod, and you've got a whole new Commonwealth. Vivid Weathers. The Vivid Weathers mod is big and impressive. It adds over 75 new weather types and 110 new cloud textures, along with a few odd and unusual weather types I'll get to in a second. This is the first mod I've looked at that includes its own control holotape, and if we open that up we can see a lot of options. Just don't forget to craft the holotape in the chem station. It isn't added to your inventory automatically. Most of the new weather types are variations on vanilla weather. For example, there are 12 different clear weather types now and 12 cloudy types. More weather types means smoother transitions between weather conditions, and overall it gives less of that samey feel to weather in the game. A nice feature in the menu is that when an option is written like this, it means radiation is also added, like during a radstorm. So I thought that was a nice touch. Vivid Weathers also adds a few entirely new weather types. One is called Fallout Snow, and I wasn't sure if that meant regular snow for Fallout or this kind of Fallout Snow. But there is no radiation along with it, so I think we're safe. Anyway, radstorms are improved a lot. We now get 3 sky colours, blue, green and red, and each radstorm can include heavy rain or snow, and that combo can be really great. Another optional mode is this. Give it a try. See what you think. Pyramid head not included. The mod lets you enable visual presets. These image spaces change color, contrast, brightness, and other visual variables. You can also change these separately, which is an excellent feature. There are also a bunch of plugin mods for Vivid Weathers, but I don't have time to cover those here. But let me know if you've tried any of them. One change that might be a bit controversial is that Vivid Weathers alters gameplay stats, so enemies have a harder time seeing or hearing you in heavy fog, rain or radstorms. The idea makes sense, but I don't know, having a weather mod change gameplay mechanics feels a bit odd to me, and unfortunately I don't think you can disable this. An issue I had was the lightning I saw during testing always seemed green, like the lightning during a radstorm, but this was during a normal thunderstorms, so I'm not sure I like the look of that. There's a lot of weather conditions in Vivid Weathers, but I can't tell from the mod description if all of them are included in the default settings, so I'm not sure, will we see snow sometimes when we're playing, and does the radstorm colour change? I'm not sure. Another issue I found was performance. I tested 1 or 2 examples of each weather condition. The quick summary is that minimum frame rate hit is 4 FPS, dropping to 54 in clear conditions from vanilla Fallout 4's 58. Some weather types hit performance hard, with FPS dropping as low as 45 during fog, rain and snow. 45! I also noticed FPS sometimes fluctuated even during those short test clips I make. And I haven't seen this before. I assume it's due to rapid weather changes, micro changes. The rain and fog seems to be shifting constantly, I noticed. It does show how dynamic the weather system is, which is impressive, but that dynamic weather appears to come at a cost. My guess is there's some process running under the hood to create that effect, and it's taking up some console resources, it seems. Here's a chart of the results of the tests of Vivid Weathers. Vivid Weathers is a complex mod, and I noticed it was last updated in 2022, which was before the Anniversary Edition update and before the Next Gen update. So it never crashed on me, but I can't help wondering if the mod's age is starting to show in some of these FPS results. Overall, Vivid Weathers has loads of options and gives you a lot of control over the weather and look of the game. Its main downside, at its worst, is that it can really hit frame rate hard. Righto, there are loads of other weather mods out there for Fallout 4 on Xbox. Really happy to hear suggestions. One of the mods I looked at today was based on a suggestion. I hope you find this interesting. Of course, please give it a like if you do. That would be great. Thanks. Visit my channel and subscribe for more videos on the more technical side of some of my favourite console games, many of which are Bethesda games.
Yeah, well, if someone's wiping out gangs, we all need to stay sharp.
Alright, thanks for watching. Cheers. Game Nexus out.